Hello. I'm going to do audio and video simultaneously. This obviously is the video, and then you're going to hear some music, and then I'm going to start talking again. Hello and welcome to the Astrology Minute from Planet Waves. I'm Eric Francis Coppolino, the host of Planet Waves FM, author of the Planet Waves horoscope, and currently the author of Inner Peace, Inner Light, the 2025 annual edition, 2026 annual edition of Planet Waves. This is what I'm doing at this time of year, every year for the past 28 years, including now. And this is a book-length, book-quality, one-of-a-kind set of astrology readings that will be available in writing as a PDF, so they're printable. And then when I'm done with those, I'm going to have the relatively easier, breezier task of doing the audio meditations on your astrology. Big year, big astrology happening right now. I'm here tonight with an astrology minute to talk about Mercury stationing direct, and I've also allegedly got a copy of the chart for now. So we're at the end of Mercury retrograde, beginning of the month. It's on the 29th or 21, around the 11th, I think, something like that. And anyway, it's been going on for a few weeks, and it is going to end on the 29th. That would be, let's check a calendar, given my date dyslexia, that would be Saturday, the 29th this time around. And Mercury retrograde started in Sagittarius, and it backtracked into Scorpio, and then there was the Scorpio new moon about a week ago, a little less, and about a week ago, and that was a very unusual new moon because it was retrograde Mercury conjunct the Sun, the interior conjunction, and conjunct the moon. Very, very powerful to have all those things line up all at once. And now here we are in what some call the Mercury storm phase. Mercury storm phase is when Mercury is moving under a certain number of arc minutes a day. It usually starts about 3 days before Mercury stations direct. It lasts about 3 days after Mercury stations direct, and this is the most turbulent and potentially emotionally and psychologically, Scorpio covers both, stressful time in the retrograde. And it's at that point where, unless you really dig Mercury retrograde, it is starting to get old, and it's like, all right, enough already. Let's move on. Now, the thing generally about Mercury stationing direct is that it can come with a perk of intel. There is going to be something revealed. It works on the collective level. It works on an individual level. I have said a number of times that the reason why it's not a good idea to finalize commitments or make major purchases and so forth with Mercury retrograde is that you learn something at the time of Mercury stationing direct that will be influential in your decision, or you make some kind of an internal decision. There's some kind of an internal shift, but often this can involve actually learning something, actually discovering something that just seemed to be, kind of waiting in the wings, and then it perks out. And this is one of the most useful uses of Mercury stationing direct that I have seen. So we have that to look forward to. Now, I come to you tonight recognizing that this is a very stressful time for many people, and even if you're not the kind of person who is a news junkie, doom scrolling, following various news feeds and all that stuff, you are still feeling the stress and the tension in the world that is emanating from these things, and plenty of people around you are involved, and we all exist in one cosmos from which you cannot jump out, and the astrology is describing the conditions and the weather generally, and then for the directly personal meaning, you have to bring things into your own context. So what I'm getting at here, it doesn't really matter what quote unquote level you're looking at things on. What matters is that you are having the experience that you're having, and for many different reasons, these are very difficult times. By the way, I know that most people don't really give a toss about the artificial intelligence issue. And the way that I know that is because we at Planet Waves are running a magnificent daily news aggregation blog. We have done many things like this over the years, most notably COVID-19 news, which ran from 2020 to mid-2023. This thing hardly has any readers, and I keep telling people about it, and it's really a work of journalistic art. And this is leading me to suspect that the people's response to this crisis that we're in is not really registering, that people are not giving this a name, and they're not, like avoiding it in some way, or thinking that, well, I'm not really into technology, so it doesn't really even matter. I am telling you that there is a great big sucking sound right now, and that great big sucking sound is the sound of one more stage of collective soul being vacuumed out of consciousness and out of our bodies. And though it is not going to solve the problem, I think that it is helpful to have this issue contextualized by some framing around it, some understanding around it. Maybe toward the end of this, I'll read a few of the headlines. It's really staggering what is going on, and this is I think that it is though few would agree, because they see it in purely technological terms or economic terms or something. We don't even know the scale of that. But in human terms, the most significant tipping point that humanity has ever been at. Now, why do we get to be here? I don't know. We get to be here because we're here, like the old song goes. And this is calling on a level of consciousness that I would say is best described as spiritual consciousness. That is not a commonly tread upon path. It is usually considered some kind of a thing that can be forgotten about because work is a hassle, and you got to take care of the kids and so forth, and pay the bills and all of that stuff. And this is a very significant point where we lose contact with ourselves in this one and only life that we have. I'm not arguing for or against reincarnation, but from what I know about reincarnation, this is your one time to get to be the you that you get to be, and that is special. That is that is unique, and that is infused with purpose. And that by losing contact with the place and time that we're in, we lose contact with ourselves. And by losing contact with ourselves, we lose contact with our context. And I am saying this is a very important moment that people are not recognizing is a very important moment. And all right, let's see what comes up. Let's see what comes up in this chart. So I've got the. I guess I can. I'm going to include the chart. I'm not going to go to the chart cam today because I'm doing this as an audio podcast as well as a video podcast. But I'm going to include the chart on the on the Substack page. So we've got Mercury stationing direct Saturday at 12:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's Saturday afternoon in the East. Out in California, that's kind of like Saturday morning, and late in the evening in UK, Europe, and points east. The station direct occurs with Mercury is at 20 degrees and 42 minutes of Scorpio. But what's interesting is that the moon is right in between Saturn and Neptune. That is it's a tight spot that you don't realize is a tight spot. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction has been developing, it's been close all of 2025. It was a near miss. That's to say, it came within 1 degree in the summer or maybe early autumn, and then both planets went retrograde. Now they're both back in Pisces, and then the one and only time of the exact conjunction will take place, I think, in February or early next year. So this is a special event, and we're in this kind of in between phase where they almost lined up in Aries, and they're floating around the end of Pisces right now. It's a very meaningful time for completions because it's the end of 2 cycles. We've got Saturn having completed its cycle around the Sun. From the standpoint of Aries to Aries, we have Neptune. I think Neptune is a 146-year orbit, and so these cycles are clearing Pisces at the same time and forming their first ever conjunction ever on the Aries point in the 1st degree. So what we've got now is let's see. I'm just gonna hold this chart up to the camera because it's just easier than talking about it without a visual. So maybe you'll see the go to YouTube. If you go to the Planet Waves YouTube channel, which I'll link, and you'll see this video. But look at them. They're circled in blue. Let's see there. Now we've got that's Neptune, that's the moon, that's Saturn, and the moon and Saturn are in an exact conjunction, but separating. That gives me the feeling of kind of a oppressive yoke being lifted off of the soul, and a sense of relief with the Moon-Neptune conjunction. It might not be that realistic. I mean, Moon-Neptune is never really that realistic, but it at least it'll like feel good to eat a gummy and relax for the evening, which it may not feel so good to do right now. I wish I knew what to say about the depth and the intensity of the state of worry in the world. I do not think that this is ungrounded worry. I think that very big things are happening right now behind the scenes, and I think that some of the tension that we are experiencing is this sense that there is something hidden behind the scenes that might come out. Now, we live with this all the time, right? We since September 11th, 2001, we have been living a kind of disaster to disaster. We have been living with one, shocking surprise after the next, and it's almost like somebody who lies, who is about to get caught lying, and they create a bigger lie, and then that distracts people from the previous lie, and then they're about to get caught with that lie, and they make up an even bigger lie. And there are actually people who live like this, and I think that our current president is one person who has basically lived this way his entire life, I suspect since childhood, only now we are not only all getting dragged along by this drama, we're getting dragged along by the people who are kind of sponsoring this drama on the highest levels, and also by people who are just falling for this and they're like completely out of it and not admitting what's going on. So that's part of the tension. There's just all this drama that always seems to be looming around the next corner. That's going to be heightened under an event like Mercury stationing direct, especially with all this other stuff going on. I mean, we have Venus right at the end of Scorpio, we have Neptune right at the end of Pisces, we have Uranus right at the end of Taurus, and then Jupiter very, very heavily aspected. Now, a brief comment on Sagittarius time, where we are now. So let's see. As of tonight, the Sun is at just past 4, just early in the 5th degree of Sagittarius. So this is a special and kind of wondrous time of year if you are kind of in the mood for wondrousness and can feel it because the Sun is lining up with the deep space points in Sagittarius. There's 2 of them. The deep space point right in the middle of Sagittarius is it's the center of this thing that was named Laniakea by its discoverers, the team led by Brent Tully, this wonderful Pisces astrologer at the University of Hawaii, who once granted me like an hour and 15-minute interview, knowing I was an astrologer, to talk about this thing. And it is the gravitational watershed of 100,000 galaxies that are all rushing toward it at about 1 million miles an hour. And the Sun is now it's the week after Mercury stations direct. So Mercury stations direct Saturday, and then we're going to be feeling that alignment real strongly pretty much immediately. Mars is also aligned with it. Mars is in Sagittarius. By the way, off the subject of deep space, Mars and Juno are lined up in a conjunction, and that conjunction is going to be exact like Saturday, Sunday, Monday or so, and that's the stress on marriages and relationships. Just in case you're wondering, try not to let it push come to shove. Anyway, the Sun lines up first with the Great Attractor, then toward the end of the run through Sagittarius, more in ahead of, let's see, the Capricorn solstice is around the 22nd, so we're really looking at around the 18th, 19th of December, coming right up. The Sun aligns with the Galactic Center. And so what we've got is the Sun merging with these deep space points. This creates this sense of things being very large and very important and almost incomprehensible. I mean, both the Galactic Center, which is the center of our immediately local galaxy, and the Great Attractor are incomprehensible in their scale. And the galaxy is just a tiny little piece of Laniakea, of the Great Attractor. It's 1 in 100,000, an ordinary galaxy. We're living in an ordinary, beautiful, but ordinary galaxy among 100,000 galaxies. So that's all going to happen. And before the Sun gets there, Mars is there too, stirring things up. Mars is there too, kind of agitating things. And at its best, this would be a spiritual questing type of agitation. Now, what do I mean by that? Without getting too new agey here, what I'm saying is that when we think spiritual, we think a path of inner awareness, a path of self-knowledge, a path of understanding things in a larger context than your personal ego. It's not easy, because the ego's personal context is personal, and it does block off and filter out all kinds of things that are beyond its perception, beyond its ken, and that negate it at all. So what I'm saying here is that part of the tension is the feeling of needing to think in larger ways, needing to think in ways that are not so strictly private and personal, and that are more framed in terms of meaning and more framed in terms of life being a kind of a questing adventure. And it's hard to feel that now. It is hard to feel that now when every other item in the news feed involves a crazy person with the nuclear suitcase on his desk, and we're hearing every day about the AI bubble. The AI bubble. The frequency of these articles every day is picking up about how like everybody is just all these hedge funds and all of they're all over invested in this thing that can't do what I'm doing right now. This is a fairly ordinary thing I'm doing right now. I've cast an astrology chart. I was thinking, oh, tonight would be a good night to do this. Let's not wait till tomorrow. AI can't do that. It cannot herd sheep. It can't be your boyfriend. It can't be your girlfriend. It can't be your therapist. It can't really write so well. So what good is it? Spying on us? Well, do we really need that much computing power? We've been spied on for decades. Works perfectly well without computer centers the size of Manhattan. Okay, couple of schedule updates. This is Thanksgiving weekend coming up. I will have I'm just going to do a Starcast this week. That'll come out on Wednesday night. I've delayed the monthly horoscope by 1 week, so that'll come out in a week. I'm kind of stretching because I'm wanting to focus my writing on getting the annual edition done beautifully, not just done, but done beautifully. And I will probably do a Planet Waves FM on Friday night because that's my favorite thing to do. All right, signing off on a cold night here at the Harshaw House in Greene County in upstate New York. I'm Eric Francis Coppolino. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for your subscription, support, and your friendship. Lots of love, and bye for now. All right, for you listening on video, I'm going to gonna let the theme play out. This is Fugue number 20 by Jelko McMullen. And that's what I've got to say.